Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures.
Over the last 7 years, we have consistently released weekly episodes focusing on
obstacle course racing, running, and other adventures.
You'll hear interviews, event recaps, conversations about our sport,
quick news updates about happenings in our community.
And now, here are your hosts,
Standing on the corner,
Michael Stefano and Caitlin Ritter.
Hey guys, it's Michael Stefano.
And Caitlin Ritter. And Mike, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. We spent it in New Jersey. We had a wedding. We had your cousin's wedding.
Yes, where I was the maid of honor.
Yes, and I inconveniently got sick before the wedding. It was it's one of those situations that usually I get sick after the wedding. I've gotten COVID after a wedding twice before.
Hopefully not after this wedding.
No, but yeah, feeling better, which is good because we've got a big trip coming up, which we'll get to that later. And then it was also Halloween. I stayed behind so I could hand out candy because we had the best house on the street when it came to decorating. Some kids told me that, which meant a lot. They said, this is the best house.
Sweet.
And I'm like, you're damn right. Tell your friends. But yeah, I always keep a tally of like how many kids we have so I know how much candy to buy. And then Caitlin goes behind my back and buys more candy so it has Milky Ways in it.
I panic because you don't want to be that house that runs out of candy.
Yes.
And you don't want to be that house that just gives away like one piece of candy.
Yeah, so typically we get around 40. And then this year we only got 21 kids.
I bet you next year it will be more because it'll be on a Friday.
Maybe, but it was so warm out. The weather was perfect. It was a little disappointing. As someone that loves Halloween, it's the best time of the year. Favorite time of the year. Let's give a shout out to the sponsors.
Shout out Mudgear. Use code ADVENTURE for 15% off your next Mudgear purchase. Caterpie. Use code OCRReport20 for 20% off your next Caterpie purchase. And use code OCRReport20 for 20% off any Spartan Deca or Tough Mudder events through 2025.
Yeah, I gotta remember that for Deca too. That's pretty huge. So I've been doing a lot more of that lately. And then it's the first episode of the month, so we're going to shout out the $3+ Patreon supporters.
Jason Dupree, Samantha Thompson, Matt Putton, Bradley Keel, Charlotte Engelman, Aaron Grindstaff, Laura and Stephen Ritter, Hank and Arlene Stefano, Kenny West, Cheryl Miller, Jessica Johnson, Christopher Hoover, Kevin Gregory Jr., Evan Irick, Ashley Rice, Brent George, Justin Manning, Logan Nagel, Angela Bowers, Asa Coddington, Thomas Peterson, and Seth Renderknech.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. We greatly appreciate it. And to the OC Report for being a great home for us on the internets.
And to Will Hicks.
The Podfather. Check it out over at theocreport.com. I'll be seeing the team in Florida in a few days, and I'm really excited for that. And to our sponsored athletes.
Javier Escobar.
Who is hopefully coming to World's Toughest Mudder.
Kelly Sullivan.
Potentially done with Spartan Race.
Ryan Brizzolara.
Pretty sure he's taking on the Savage series. If that's not over yet, I feel bad we haven't focused on the Savage at all this year.
It's okay. Joshua Reed.
Who just took on the Rim to Rim to Rim FKT, and I think he did pretty well.
And Kevin Gregory.
Check out Underdog Fitness. Poll results. There's no poll, but meme of the week. We're breaking the streak. We're doing a meme this time. So is it OCR related? No. Is it sleep related, since I've been sleeping a lot because I've been sick? First Caitlin was sick, and then I was sick, and now Caitlin says that she's getting sick again. But you
contaminated me.
We have like different immune systems. It's very strange, but
it makes for a perfect marriage.
I found the meme, so you describe it.
Okay, it is a
Four panels.
It is 4 panels. The first panel is a sheep in a trench coat, and you can see that there is sheep underneath him, and they're at what I assume is a movie theater, and the sheep says, "1 adult ticket, please." And then in the next panel, the ticket guy, collector says, "I can tell you there's 3 sheep in your trench coat." And the guy says, "Are you sure?" And then the sheep says, "Are you sure?" And then in the third panel, he says, "Yes." The ticket collector says,
Jesus.
"Yes. Look, 1, 2... And then in the last panel, the ticket collector falls asleep because he's counting sheep, and the 3 sheep walk right into the movie theater.
So I thought that was cute.
That is cute.
But now we're going to get to some quick news, starting with Evan Preparis. Some big news from him.
Evan Preparis posted, "Officially retired. For the first time as an adult, I woke up not in the army today as terminal leave ended. Couldn't have asked for a better ending to the team at 1st Infantry Division combatives.
So congratulations to him. Looking forward to seeing him at World's Toughest Mudder as well. Next up, a shout out to Corey Waltering for being 3 years sober. So just a reminder, if someone's out there trying to deal with that, it is possible to go get help. And sobriety is a choice. So good for him. He's a badass
awesome.
ultra runner that I've seen quite a few times, and he's a very down to earth dude.
And he remembers us every time.
Yes, which means a lot. Very, very nice guy. Next up, Charlotte Curtis.
Charlotte posted, after being told 3 weeks ago that he was healthy and happy, 11-and-a-half-year-old, on November 1st at 2:22, Jackson took his last breaths in my arms at home. Was started as an emergency appointment because he was having trouble breathing that night before turned into finding out he had late-stage lung cancer, and after hours of trying to drain his lungs and save him, we were only able to stabilize him enough to come home, where he was loved for the last hours of his life and was surrounded by his dog siblings and family as he took his last breath.
Late trigger warning.
He was literally smiling until the very end.
Yeah, very, very sad. Lots of shout-outs to pets and everything, too. So our condolences to her, because, pets are members of the family as well. No real recovery from that, but this comes to us from OCR Buddy. 2025 Mammoth Spartan Super World Championships weekend. So this is a new World Championship. I had heard murmurings of it before, but this is going to be on October 4th and 5th of 2025. So, as you could imagine, probably had a deal with Mammoth Lakes, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to keep championships there. And then OCRWC had to get the hell out of there because it was not going well whatsoever. And so they're going to have that there instead next year. Inside OCR posted, Tough Mudder is updating their 2025 event schedule. Lower performing events like Pittsburgh, Missouri, and Poconos will come off the schedule, while the remaining 12 U.S. events will receive a more robust experience that includes an amped up delivery kit and additional investments per events. So for those of you who have purchased a 2025 season pass, a partial refund will be issued proactively. More detailed details will be communicated to participants shortly. So that is a bit of a bummer, because 2 of those are somewhere in the Northeast too. We already lost New England, and that's even further. We lost New England, we lost New Jersey, we lost
New York,
the Long Island. So that's a bummer. I miss you, Tough Mudder.
I know, me too.
I'm going to get my year's worth all in one weekend, this upcoming weekend. God, I'm so excited.
The official Sydney Marathon Instagram posted, "We did it, Sydney. We are beyond thrilled to announce that thanks to you, the TCS Sydney Marathon presented by ASICS is now the 7th member of the prestigious Abbott World Marathon Majors, a historic moment for the Australian sport."
Yeah, so that's very, very exciting. I do remember going on a run with the president of the Colonial Roadrunners, a local road running group that I'm part of here in Massachusetts, and he was saying how, he did all 6 of the major marathons, and he'd love to do Australia, but he wants to wait until it becomes a major. And hey, now it's a major. So all those people that thought you reached your goal, see you in Australia. Well, we won't be there.
Is it one on each continent?
No.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yes, it would make sense.
7 majors, 7 continents.
Ain't no one going to Antarctica.
Fair.
Yeah, but Asia has Japan. I'm going to get into deep water for this. There's not one in Africa.
Okay, or South America.
Or South America, yeah.
Okay, that's enough. Moving on, before we make a fool of ourselves.
My geography is getting a lot better. Next up, we're going to get to some podiums, starting with Savage Race, Florida Fall.
In 3rd place, Kevin Thompson. In 2nd place, Ryan Brizolara. And in 1st place, Sean Roberts. And for the women, in 3rd place, Courtney Washington. In 2nd place, Rachel Waters. And in 1st place, Jamie Horonopoulos. Yeah,
and is this the conclusion to the series? I don't know. I should know that, and I don't know. Still a little bitter at Savage for the, CEO is not getting back to me about that interview.
Obstacle Racing Media posted the Spartan Race Greece Trifecta World Championships. For the women, in 3rd place, Clara Lokajifikova. In 2nd place, Sabrina Dalio. And in 1st place, Nicole Miracle. And for the men, in 3rd place, Marcel Fabien. In 2nd place, Richard Hynek. And in 1st place, Gregory Basilico.
Yeah, congratulations to them. There's 5 secret links down below, so go check those out if you would like to. But let's finally get to what this episode is all about. So, Leon Kofoed has been on the show a few times in the past. when doing finish lines at OCRWC, and I could have swore I interviewed him at Spartan 3K in Palmerton. I checked the notes. It doesn't say that he's there. I thought we saw him there. Was he there? Was it just Ida?
I think it was just Ida.
Oh, well, apologies because that came up in the interview. But we've interviewed him at the finish line of OCRWC a few times, and I've been wanting to have him on for his own episode for a while. And with him winning OCRWC and saying that 2024 would be his final year focused as a full-time athlete, I knew it'd be a great opportunity now. So we talk about his comeback from his intense injury that he had at the Savage Race years ago, the importance of intrinsic goals, what winning OCRWC meant to him, and much more. So let's get to the interview with Leon. So we'll start off with your name and where you're from.
Hello, everybody. I'm Leon. I've been on the podcast once before, I believe, a little while ago.
Few more times than once.
A few more times than once. I love it. It's a good time. I love podcasts in general, and I'm always happy to be on one. I'm sitting in Copenhagen, Denmark right now in my apartment, and yeah, I'm very, very happy at the moment. I'm doing great.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. This is actually a good time to announce. I just got an update from Ancestry.com. I am 13% Danish, and I've never been prouder.
Holy crap, cow. What? 13% Danish? That means there's a 13% chance you will actually pay your taxes correctly. That is magnificent. Yeah.
I love it. But tell me, what are some of your favorite things about Denmark, about your country?
Fundamentally, I feel, normally people feel really at home where they're from, like, because it's like the things they've seen and the country feels in a certain way. I'm not attached to Denmark in the sense that I have to be here all the time. Most people who follow my journey as an athlete see that I like to compete all over the world. But I feel very at home in Denmark. The country in itself is running to a certain extent quite smoothly. Any large enough organization or government, of course, there's like bumps that are not working. But now that I'm witnessing the American election with just two parties that can win, two-party system, we have like 12. It's like just politically, it's like it's a fundamentally different place. Danish people are a little funny, like they're very shy of conversation and engaging in things, unless you like get them a few beers. But the entire, like, when you meet an American, they're like, "Hey man, how are you doing?" They don't necessarily want to know, but it's like, you've set high.
Right.
We don't have a culture like that.
Okay.
But there's a bunch of things about Denmark that I really enjoy, like collectively and on an overall level. We agree that it's a good thing that we have free healthcare and free education. In a very high level, people are not taking advantage of those things, which is the reason I guess it could work. Because if there was a lot of people, that just like lived up benefits and, were really on health. So there is a governmental also interest in keeping people healthy because they're paying for the healthcare system. So generally, like it's kind of easy to stay healthy here. There's like a lot of activity options. We don't have like school activities the way you guys do with like varsity in college and different sports. If you go to college here, you do sports as part of the community or municipality. You go to a track and field club, like what most people do post-collegiately if they're athletic. The weather is horrendous. Like Denmark is not known for, we don't have any mountains. The weather is horrible. A little bit better than the UK. And other things that Danes are famous for is generally being quite attractive. Like it's a beautiful people living here. And I can testify to that. I can tell you, dude, I know you're married.
Yes.
But if anybody's traveling to Copenhagen, married or not, just for pure interest, you got to download Tinder and just a comparative analysis. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that I don't know if you have any more like specific questions. I feel like I covered that. Okay.
No, I just love hearing more about European countries because I haven't had the chance to go over there as much as I would like. I'm going over to Italy, as you mentioned, married. I finally doing our 2-year late honeymoon, and we're going to Italy. So I'm very excited to explore there. But Denmark is definitely on the list too, just because
Where in Italy are you guys going for honeymoon? I've been several times.
Yeah, so we're going to Rome. I really, really, really wanted to see Pompeii, but unfortunately, when we're going to be going, which is around like Christmas time, all that stuff's going to be closed, which makes sense. But it looks like we're just gonna hop around a few different places and just enjoy ourselves because I like to explore and Caitlin likes to relax, so we're trying to meet in the middle sometime.
Somewhere. That's good. I'm glad. I mean, you guys are married because you can make stuff like that work, and it's like magical, like how you can people can really make a lot of differences work out really well if they care for each other.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not just in marriages, but also in friendships. Like I threw a Halloween party in my tiny apartment on like a few days ago. I
Mhm.
still have like the Halloween like stuff around here. Like, I got like little spiders lying around. And people are way different, but we all just agree that we want to like be honest with each other and have a good time. So
Yeah.
even if we like, oh, we want to like do vacation different or eat different foods or any of those things, it just like it works so well.
Compromise. Yeah.
You guys are gonna love Rome. That's gonna be beautiful.
I'm very excited. Yeah, because that's majority of what I am, just Irish, Italian, and yeah. But enough about
All right.
me.
When you're
Finally
Irish and
having
Italian and Danish, but you're an American, like so what generational gap will Americans be like, I'm American or like I am, because there's like I'm Italian American, but that's like
Mm.
7 generation. Like where does that go? I don't know the history of that.
That's a good question. So my grandfather, growing up, I was always told my grandfather was like 100% Italian. And I mean, he wasn't straight off the boat, but he was very proud of his Italian heritage. And then my grandmother was always vocal about being like 100% Irish and just very, very proud of that too. But eventually we just get to the point where we're all kind of mutts and like that's okay.
Mhm.
But it's kind of fun to learn a little bit here and there of like, oh, like I'm this percent this, I'm this percent of that. I got a big nose. That's the Italian side. And but yeah, it's fun stuff.
All right,
But,
dude.
but again, enough about me. Finally having you on for your own episode. Very excited about this. I wasn't sure where to start, but I figured the best place to start was, speaking of healthcare, your injury in Savage Race, a while ago. So,
Mm.
what was it like as a professional athlete, full-time athlete, to undergo an injury like that and the recovery process? Just talk about that a little bit.
Dude, sweet. They cut me out if this turns into like a TED talk or anything like that. I actually did give a presentation, like a full hour presentation yesterday with the headline of it being The Dreamer.
Mm.
Um, and I believe that having something to look forward to, dream about, obtaining or pursuing, I'm very process oriented more than results oriented. That has kept me going. So let's zoom back 3.5 years ago, 2021. Um, I want to go back a little further. I wanted to be really good at obstacle course racing after I won the European Champs in 2018. Before that, I was like, I wanted to coach people. I wanted to be part of the communities. I would say more sure, I was really fit. Like I would like top 10, top 5 podium and like some events, but I never was like, I'm just here to win races and be this badass athlete. And no, I wanted to like hang out with people. And I was like, I had a coaching event, a business event going on where like we had 1,200 people ish a year for 3, 4 years in a row coming to our events. I brought like the education courses for coaches to Europe. I wanted to facilitate what you also live for in OCR, like the community events. I was like, this is the great stuff. Like if it's called like whatever race or like with Spartan or Savage or Toughest or Nordic Race or Tough Viking, Tough Mudder, like any of these things. I'm like, it's the people in it. Because I saw this underlying tone that people who were really into obstacle course racing, they loved overcoming obstacles for a reason. It's
Yeah.
people who were like faced with obstacles in their life, and it doesn't matter if it's like teeny tiny or big, but they were like very insisting on like, no, I want to overcome these obstacles. And I felt that. I felt that so much. Um, and when I had to like transition into being like, no, I want to compete more, I found that it's really hard to write a master's thesis, have 2 jobs, have a relationship, do charity work, and host training events like every weekend almost for people, and then also be an athlete. And I didn't quite get that in 2018, 2019 when I was trying to ramp up my training and learn more about like what to do for not other people, but for myself. And I definitely burned the candle in too many ways. Those who follow me very closely know that this is the period my mom was like at the final 2 years of her terminal, what do you call it? She had cancer, which was terminal, so terminal diagnosis.
Mhm.
Um, and those 2 years were incredibly, of course, really difficult. Like my mom was like the best mom. I loved her for who she was. Not the sharpest knife in the drawer here or sharpest tool in the shed. I think you say in
Yep.
America, but like so loving, like always like other people first. Like I remember I asked her the last year because she struggled like quite a bit financially. I remember asking her, I know I can raise like at least $35,000-$40,000 for you.
Mm.
And I will I would love to do it. I would love to do it. I'll put in that work and that would make your life sweeter. You won't have to worry about the same things you're worrying about right now. It's not like she needed like a nice car or like
Right.
boots or a Louis Vuitton bag. It's like she was just like, what about like rent and like basic things, and she worried too much about it. I was like, we can close the gap. I was like, we'll figure it out. Like I'll make magic happen because I want to make that happen. And she was the kind of person who was like, if you're capable of raising like that much money, you're gonna give it to charity. You're not giving it to me. And like I was just like, that was like it made me cry. It made me cry real hard because I was like, but me and the other people who would donate to this would want you to have it.
Right.
And she was like, if any of those money, any penny can go to like helping other people with cancer and other families where they may not have a terminal diagnosis, but they can actually recover and stay with the family. You're giving all the money there, and throughout the years, and still counting to this day, I think we've raised more than $100,000 now, and it's just like it's amazing. A lot of that work was done like pre-COVID when we had like physical events when mom was there, like as the hero, the fighter of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom taught me to dream. I just forgot to like dream when I was struggling with like her being sick, trying to be an athlete, and do all these things at the same time. So COVID came in a clutch for me. It actually gave me a chance to like kind of pause, zoom out a little bit, and be like, all right, what is really important to me? Why was I even doing sports anymore? OCR felt dull. Like everything was dying out. Events were dying out. I was confused about like my own fitness, and like I do have a master's in math and economics. I would have like job security within a couple of months, a canteen, insurance, basic things that are like really nice to have in like most adults' lives. And I was like, I had sacrificed that to like run my own business and be this person that was doing sports and going out for charity events and public speaking and hosting all these things I was really engaged about. But I was like, should I kind of like give up on this dream? Because why am I pursuing it? Mom died. Like my life is different now. My life will forever be different. And I was thinking about that for the full first year of COVID. And things opened up a little bit, closed down a little bit. And I didn't make a full decision, but I decided after about a year, it's like, you know what? No, I want to like feel it. And I knew they were racing in Florida and some places in America. So I booked a 7-week training camp in Colorado, and I did some races out of there. I did like I did the Savage races, and I feel like I did a Spartan National Series as well. In Jacksonville, I got top 10, and I was like, all right, that's not too bad. I podiumed in Savage against Kempson and the other guys that were running really fast. I got second a couple of days in a row in Florida. And on the last day, the day I had to fly home, I totally fractured my leg. So I had put in like all this work, and the last day before my flight, I destroyed my tibia bone. And I didn't get it checked in America, to be honest, because it's not that I don't trust the healthcare system. It's just I don't know it, and I hear stories, but the stories I hear are not amazing.
No, they're not.
No. So I was like, you know what? This flight is in like 5 hours, and I just thought I tore a ligament. I had never had a fracture before. I was like, it's very painful, but then the medics gave me a bunch of painkillers that unfortunately stopped working on the first out of 3 flights.
Ugh.
So I had a 24-hour trip home, incredibly painful, lots of crying, lots of pondering. What now? Got home, had a fracture, and it was like pretty bad fracture. So they were like, maybe you shouldn't do your sport anymore. Maybe you can't ever run fast again like that. Not fast like that again. You could run like, well, maybe if you're lucky and if you're not stupid.
Yeah.
And the problem is I'm smart, but I'm really stupid. Like I'm one of those people that really want things, and I'm like a little bit impatient. So I'm like, I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I'm gonna like try to be good about it. So I was kind of like okay with the dream of sport having gone to a certain extent down the drain here.
Yeah.
It didn't quite. I mean, I had already gotten team world championships, double European champ, and I had like actually been close to like more than 4,000 people that I had engaged with and had real conversation with. I had taught them skills they didn't have before. I'd hosted training camps to different countries, and my social media was like flourishing. I was like, it's like this is not a dead dream. It's just like not the ending I was looking for. But I was like getting kind of okay with it. So I applied for more jobs. I stayed at the university. I started at Ernst and Young. I started writing my Get a Grip training programs, which later on has bought me a lot of more time in the sport.
Good.
And I had issues with the leg for a year and a half. Like I got back to some training, but I was just having a lot of pain. It was as if something was wrong, and we just couldn't quite figure out what the heck was wrong. So we changed the strength work. We changed all the things you can do as an athlete with like sleep and how you train and load adjustments. That's often what you do with bones. But I mean, at that point, like the bone should be good. So like, why are we having pain? The bone should be fine-ish after about a couple of months. But it just kept being bothersome. But then it started feeling great.
Yeah.
Like a year and a half later, I had been working and I knew why I was working. I could feel inside. I was like, no, I want to get back to sports and I want to give this a go. This is not the ending I was looking for. I want to like choose when to get off this stupid horse. And even if the horse looks crazy and I'm running around, people don't agree with like how I'm riding. This is the thing I want to do, but I want to choose when to stop and get out the saddle and be like, I'm happy. I'm not that I need to be content about results, but I was like, I originally wanted to find out how good I could be. And I didn't figure that out. I didn't find that out. I was like, always like improving and improving, but I was like, I had these like stoppers. So I spent a year and a half, almost 2 years saving up money. And throughout this time, I did a lot of management with my social media. I got new sponsors that luckily I have a close relationship with still to this day. And I took a gamble at 2023 and said, you know what? We're going full time, baby. So I quit my job. I went full time, started with a month in South Africa for training camp because South Africa is warm in January. Denmark is incredibly cold, very dark. We have like in winters, we can get like almost only 5 hours of sunlight. So I wanted to go somewhere beautiful with sun and heat. And that's when the Gov Games opportunity started opening up for international athletes. And we all thought it was a little bit too good to be true. But Gov Games kind of kickstarted my 2023 with a win for Team Copenhagen. That paid out really, really well. The first place for the international cities were about $130,000. Team of 6, of course, but it's a decent amount to because I had prepared like financially for this. I was like willing to take a personal loss to pursue my dream. It was a very calculated risk. I mean, keep in mind, I'm a mathematician. I knew my burn rate. I was like, if I can keep it within this, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
So Cup Games kind of kicked it off. I had a great European champs in 23, finished second, which was amazing. I had a great OCR World Champs, finishing first time individually on the podium, winning team championships again. I was having a great 2023. And I started 2024 in the same manner. I was like winning Gov Games again, and then I was sick. Then things started like really not working for me. Like I had bronchitis, pneumonia. I got injured. Had overload issues. My coach and we broke it off because I needed to go different ways. European champs was not great. I had one good race in the spring that was like an actual OCR. I won the toughest championships, which is something I've been dreaming to do as well. So that was a goal, definitely. But at Jenny was like, maybe 23 was like that, like best version of Leon as an athlete. And that was not bad. Like I did good. I was like, I'm happy. I'm really content. I'm really happy. I'm not like some genetic talent that's supposed to be like, an Olympic champion. And I can accept that that's me. You can only work with what you have, right?
Right.
And but 2024 summertime, I decided that to not stop. I wanted to stop with sports. I was kind of sad and like going to do workouts it was really rough. And I didn't have the fun Instagram was showing I was having because it looked great, right? I'm racing around the world, but I was canceling every third race because I was like sad or having just not feeling it, just not feeling great. But after Costa Rica, it kind of lit my fire. Costa Rica was in my eyes, a really bad event, and it lit my fire. I was like, you know what? I did all this like traveling. I spent all these money to go here to this shitty event. and it really agitated me a lot. And I didn't have a great showing. I had a ligament issue 4 weeks prior. And I was like, I don't want to do any more traveling this year if this is how it's going to feel. Like, I'd rather be home with my friends. And it's not that I want to be home like drinking beer and like acting stupid, but I'd rather stay at home, see my family and my friends if traveling is going to be like this. So I looked at this big trip I had planned, for OCR World Champs, Croatia, and so on. And I was like, is it worth it? Like, am I going to go? I knew I wanted to go, 10th anniversary of OCRWC. It's the event of the year I love the most. It's absolutely amazing and incredible. Fran had promised me it would be amazing, and I have a lot of faith in her.
Yep.
So I was like, if you're going to go, you better put everything into it. So I started my long-term training plan for peaking at OCRWC. And this went on with no issues. I didn't get sick. I didn't have any. My ankle got better. I was taping it up a lot. Legs generally felt good. I went to Colorado early for acclimatization. I went to Mammoth super early. I had a great deal with Visit Mammoth. I stayed at the Crib, which is an athlete house. So the trip also financially things started to align a little bit more, feeling very much like 2023, but better. Because I'd been on this mountain before, and now I was running intervals in the mountains and like tempos, and I was like, shit, I'm feeling like shit because I'm at altitude. Like nobody feels good. Like, but considering that, I was actually feeling pretty good. And come race day, I had this strategy about going out slow. I ran that from the back, and after the second big climb, I'm in third place. And I had expected to be way back because there was like primarily running. This before the obstacle part, basically. And I knew when I was in third place, I was like, I have an actual shot because I felt great. Yeah. And I could hear the other guys. They didn't feel as great as I was feeling. So when I picked up Noah Busher, who's this young talent, people may have heard of, like rock star on the track. He does ninja as well. Never really gets tired. He has that young dude energy. I like it. When I overtook him, it was on the running part. I was like, if I'm overtaking people who are fundamentally better runners than me on running parts, I'm in a good position. It meant like I distributed my energy really well, which gave me like such a confidence boost. Second place, short course. I'd been there before, 2019 in London, and then I shat the bed on Gibbons and went back to like outside top 3. But I was like, that won't happen now. I had a plan for everything, and Eugenio from Mexico was murdering it up with a super pace in the lead, but I ultimately got him. And this year was like honestly a struggle. But I feel like the dream I set out to like find out the best possible Leon, that dream has come true. And I believe, and I want to say, yes, I won and I became world champ. Yes, that's amazing. I love it. And it's like, nobody can take away I have it here. I just had it for family, my little gold medal, right? Yeah. Nobody can take that away from me. That's amazing. But it's like a much more internal victory for me. Not like the placement. I ran a great race. And I did all the right things, and my body allowed me to do the things I wanted to do. My brain allowed me to do the things I wanted to do. The work I had put in paid off. And I finished 6th the next day in the long one. I didn't necessarily feel like racing as hard. And I just ran so happy. I was like, it all made sense. And I thought I would be like celebrating with like champagne and like, but I was just like, I felt like I was at a Vipassana retreat, like a silent retreat. My shoulders were down. I felt like I had meditated for like 2 hours. I was just so much at peace. Yeah. And it was incredible.
There's a couple things I want to touch on there. You've always been very vocal, and you've said it a few times here about like intrinsic motivation, because you can only do the best that you can, and placement doesn't always matter as much. Like if you've done the best that you can't really fault yourself with that. But that being said, how did it feel to finally win OCRWC, which you've been very vocal has been one of your favorite events? You've gone to a lot. How did it finally feel to take that win? I mean, that's huge.
It was absolutely incredible. I hope the sound is okay. I put in AirPods instead. It should actually make it even better.
Yep.
But yeah, it's surreal. Like, it's the event I wanted to win. And I know I've been getting a few messages about this in the inbox, and those messages are not going to take anything away from the hundreds of positive messages, but the like, oh, it's the year of the championships, right? Spartan has a championship every weekend this fall, and Costa Rica happened, and now that the World Obstacle Championship in Dubai is happening, and That's I guess that's a federated championship twice in a year. You can think whatever you want to think about that. That's interesting as well. I'm going. Of course, I'm going. Like, it's going to be a great event, I'm sure. I know the local guys in Dubai; they're amazing people. But it is the year of championships, and me winning that is not my need to say I'm the best at obstacle racing, or like the race brain Mount Rushmore of OCR. Right. It's not. I'm not out here with hammer and chisel about to like be like, you need a little Danish guy on that mountain, boys. Let's go. Tuk, 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 tuk. That's not the feeling I have. At all. I'm not gonna, like, Stein Lagran has had a season that is incredible and unbelievable. Richard Heineck the past month has blown my brain to pieces. I know Basilico just won in Trifecta, but Heineck coming back from Achilles. So it hasn't put me in a position of thinking any less of anyone else, nor necessarily more of myself. In this sort of like, who's the world best champion, and like it's so much more inside me. It's like it's my goal and it's my journey, and I think that it's been hard for me to be ego about it because I've been wanting to share these things with people all along, but I did this thing for myself. That's the thing, like, I didn't do it to make my mom proud like I did with a lot of the charity work and the like sports originally. I didn't do it for my followers or fans or friends, or I did it because I wanted to like figure this out. And the fact that ended up coming with a gold medal at the event that I look at as like the most prestigious and most, at least in the case of course design, best OCR event on the planet. That's ridiculous. That is like, it's just wow.
I've talked a lot to Ryan Kempson because he lives closer to where I live. Yes, and he's always been very vocal on, everyone's pushing like, who's the best? What's the real world championships? And that was before there's been even more championships. But he's always had the opinion that it doesn't matter. Like, why? It's almost like we're trying to tear people down. Like, you're the champion for this. Congratulations. You're the champion that. Also, congratulations. It's great. Why can't we celebrate both of those? Why does one have to beat the other? And I know that, like, when it comes to the football, there is like the Super Bowl, and there's always like the apex for some sports. But it's okay to have. I mean, is there a lot? Yes, but like, it's okay to celebrate everyone for what accomplishments they've had. So. Yeah, I feel like there's a big push. And
I so much agree. Also with Kempson on this one, because I mean he won the 15K in Stratton, right? And I there's like most people are happy for you when you win. Most people really are. So, but it's so easy to listen to the ones that are either confused or jealous or have a political attitude towards it, and that's super fine. People are entitled to think however they want and feel like. But we are in a young sport, and there's sports that are much older than us that have multiple world champions. Right. Boxing has 4 federations and unions. Triathlon, what happened in Kona in the Ironman champs 2 weeks ago was ridiculous. Yeah, we had a Danish guy on the podium, by the way, 3 Danes in top 12. That's ridiculous for the Ironman. I can't believe it. Mostly following the Norwegian method, which is how the Nordic people are getting good at endurance sports. I guess it's quite amazing. So it's not unusual to see, and who is the better and who is the best. You design the courses, and we have a sport that is not standardized. Exactly. I don't have a chance in the 100-meter. I have tried it. I would have to change my physique. But it would take me 12 months to change my physique to be that explosive, if even possible. Right. I've been an endurance athlete for more than 8 years. My fast twitch muscle fibers are struggling.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that people have to realize too, different distances, I mean, this one's at elevation, and that's something I wanted to touch on too. Denmark, notoriously not at elevation. So how important was it for you to go and acclimate to the elevation? I know you went to Colorado first and then went to Mammoth. What was that process like, and how much of a role do you think that had to play with your success too?
I think it had loads to do with it. It's not only the acclimatization, it's the strategy. I was able to create while being in Mammoth for 10 days more than most people. But it starts early. Like here in Flat Denmark, I'm like, we have a fake mountain. I would do like reps on the mountain and training on it. And I'd do strength work that was like very like quad centric, glute centric, and calf work, and a lot of like Achilles training, so my Achilles could work for it. I did some hills and training. I ran with Jack Bauer. We did like a 1 by 15 minute, 15 time by 1 minute in Colorado together. And he gave me actually some great tips on like my trail running, because we don't have, like, I won a trail race this morning, like an 11K local race. And we had less than 200 feet a gain. 11K.
Oh,
that's 6.5 miles.
Yeah.
Bit more. Less than 200 feet a gain. This is like that shows you, that tells you guys where I live. Like this is like kind of wild. So it starts at there, and then you go to altitude and you respect it. Like I've gone to altitude a couple of times. It's tough. Like it's really hard on your body. And the athletes that want to like push through that, because that's what we do as athletes, right? We push through the pain. You can mess yourself up real bad. And in Mammoth, I was just training on the hills. I knew the 2 hills we were going to run. So I went and did reps. And all the reps I did on the first hill, which was like sneakily steep, just left me gassed.
Yeah.
And I was like, either I'm in shit shape and I'm going to get like messed up here, or I'm going to be the guy who goes out conservative because I know the hill and everybody else is going to like have a problem on hill 2 or anything after that. And luckily I wasn't in shit shape. But when you're running on your own, you kind of like, when you're running uphill alone, you can feel like you're in very, very bad shape very easily. Yeah, it played a big role. Absolutely. I mean, and I wouldn't recommend a lot of people to do it because it doesn't necessarily align with work, family obligations. But I knew what my 2023 and 2024 were for. Like that was for these things. That was for like coming to the event early, being more prepared. I am not the genetically most talented guy in the field. I need to be more prepared. I need to race smart, which is like often also a stopper for me. Like sometimes my brain tells me like, oh, game over. And then I never get to push through, like just, race like a wild horse. And yeah, but I'm practicing. It's like it's a mix of, going out, being this like, stud that just like runs with like, just full on hard on and just get at it, and not just like calculated and, waiting for the magical moment for striking. Because there's a big risk that moment never arrives. Like you can wait for I'll run really hard for the last 2 miles and be like, nah, bro, you're dead. Like you're not going to run fast for the last 2 miles.
Yeah. You're exactly right. There's that mental process that a lot of people don't consider, because it's, competing is a very physical thing, but it's also very mental. And going back to the recovery process one more time too. I know you said that you had, I think it was like a bit of a mental block in, I think it was like Euro Championships that you had to kind of get past, and just overall trusting your leg again on the descents, which is going to be scary after having such an injury like that. So the process of being able to trust your own body is massive too.
And it took so long. This year, Euro Champs, and I totally bonked at the Euro Champs. It was also on a ski mountain. It had never been like that before. Euro Champs used to be like flat, fast, really difficult obstacles. Like not like it was pretty ninja like pre-COVID, but like actually like meaningful, difficult obstacles. And the obstacles were quite easy. The rules were like, the one try things, and it was on a mountain, so it wasn't very fast either. So it's taken me a long time to get used to bombing downhills. And anybody who's seen any coverage from Mammoth knows there's some downhills to bomb on that mountain. Yeah. And
then something that kind of come and went, but I think it was the last time that I got to see you in person was the Palmerton 3K. Briefly, what were your thoughts on the brief stint that Spartan had with 3K? What did you think about the format and everything with that?
I think for the 3K was the first time I really on my own body experienced Spartan, putting a new ship to sail on like January 1st and then just ruining it by December 31st. That was a bit of a surprise to me, because that seemed like a big gamble, because you changed the entire competition and you changed the people who infamously Spartan is known for the mountainous beast courses, and ultimately the most legendary Spartan racers through times are mountain athletes.
Yes.
They're people who can run up and down Tahoe mountains all day long. So, to see like, I'll be like, we're going to test something else, somewhat flat, somewhat fast, bunch of obstacles. Personally, I think that format is way more exciting. I really enjoyed it. I had fun in Abu Dhabi at the 3K World Champs. I finished fourth, and it's quite annoying. They used to pay out top 10, but the year I'm fourth, I'm like half a minute from $7,500. That was a toughie. That was a tough one. And Ida was the same. I tell you, we had dinner that night, and we both we just lost collectively $15,000, and Ida lost it with like a second or two, and I lost it with like a little bit more of a substantial time. But we were like, oh Jesus! But the 3K, I loved it. I have to say, I think the support for that nationally in America was very low.
Yeah,
and the events were like, kudos to Steve Hammond, who I miss dearly in the world of Spartan and OCR in general. So I also miss Garfield for that sake. I think these guys were great. And they put on amazing events. They did what they could to make it fun and interesting, but generally I feel like the wiggle room they had to make that viewer friendly and the gambles that Spartan were willing to put into coverage was basically non-existent. And I know Jason and the OCR report team were really like pushing. They were really trying, but it was also a bit early stage for their live things. And, it was, I enjoyed it as an athlete. I thought it was very competitive. Obstacles efficiency and safety mattered like a lot. And the format was fun to train for. It was an endurance thing, but you needed anaerobic capacity to a certain extent as well. I like training fast things.
Yeah.
If I were running track, I'd run the mile or the 800. Like, I love that, like, really, like, hurtful, painful, fast. So I think the format was great. I was sorry to see it leave, definitely. And then we did the 5K champs in Croatia, which, by the way, was a gorgeous destination. I'm excited about next year already. Dude, you guys would both love that because it has adventure. It has adventure in Croatia. Like, you can hike mountains and see amazing things, but it's also a beach country.
Yeah. Caitlin,
you guys would love
it. Caitlin went there years ago to help out with kids in like an orphanage, or she helped out there years ago, and she hasn't stopped talking about it. And then when this event was coming there, she's like, people are going to be astonished with how beautiful this place is. Like, pictures and videos look amazing, and it still doesn't do it justice. So
it still doesn't do it. It just feels, and that's sometimes what European countries can do that have existed for a long time. Like, because the buildings are just so beautiful, and you're there by the Mediterranean, and like great fish, great food. It's just amazing. So yeah, Croatia was great, but that's a 6.8K with so let's do that in miles instead, I guess. So we're running a 4 miles instead of 3.
Yeah,
we're doing almost a full mile of carries. Almost 25% of the race was carries. 3 swims, totaling a quarter mile of actual swimming. So we got 1.25 out of 4 miles are either a carry or a swim. There's 2 rigs. They're both horrendously easy with non-meaningful penalty loops. And when we raced the 1K stuff in Abu Dhabi, although the destination was somewhat hard to get to, and it was out in the middle of the desert, and they were having struggles in the Middle East because of some stuff Joe DeSena had said about Israel and Palestine.
Yes.
So it was not a very well-attended event locally, but there was a bunch of like really good athletes there. So I think the Croatia race, the race experience was not as great. But the venue and the depth of the field, I think it helped that a lot of athletes, they got tickets or, a hotel room for like a couple of nights. So I think a lot of people got drawn into that. And it's Europe. I know the US is struggling a bit in the OCR front. Europe is a booming, baby.
100%.
If you wanna come race some fast people, you come by. We're having a bloody party over here. Like, it's something, and the coverage is not great, and normally there's not a lot of prize money, but there's never been. So people are like, all right, there's not a lot of prize money. I still love training. I still love going to the mountains. I still love competing. So they're still out here doing these things, and it's kind of magical.
That's one of the things that I get asked a lot too. And when I put polls on, what are people's thoughts on the sport? Is it struggling, this or that? I often get corrected by some of our European listeners, which I appreciate. And it's like, do you just mean North American OCR? I'm like, yes, North American OCR is struggling. Europe is doing phenomenal. Asia, which doesn't get talked about enough, their youth races are going extremely well, and I think that's something
Extremely
that I need
well.
to try to go out of my way to highlight as well. But what is it? Do you think?
In Hungary, the Federation of Hungary has plus 100 youth athletes.
That's great. That's the future.
That's great for the federation.
Yeah.
That's not just like Spartan kids. It's like kids that are like, no, my sport is OCR.
Yeah.
What? Crazy.
So what? I guess you touched on it a little bit, but like, why? If you were to be asked, like, why is Europe still continuing to do well while North America is struggling so much? Do you think it's like you don't mind that the prize money's gone away, and what else?
I honestly think it's too many variables to quantify in a relatively short podcast. But we can take it from the two things that I noticed my American friends and colleagues are the most focused on: money and coverage.
Yeah.
It seems like the feeling of the race and how fun obstacle racing is not something that's addressed very often in North America. It's a bit of a shame because honestly, the races are great. The Savage Race is still throwing on amazing events.
Yes.
And the Spartans are having a bunch of like open people, like an age group people competing, but so the events are great. Otherwise, people wouldn't show up and come back, and like the numbers are going up. But there's like so on the lead side of things, the two main objections I hear are lack of money and also unpaid money. So it's lack of current prize money, and also we have not yet been paid. That's a totally different category. Are you owed like a certain amount for Spartan? They're not paying you, and you have to pay for flights to go race a Spartan. That's not good.
Yeah.
But for the actual payments right now, so I had this debate with an American athlete who's very high level, and the athlete said, "I'm so angry. I'm not getting this and this and that from Spartan." And this was also a bit in a relation to like I was getting something from Spartan, and I hadn't gotten shit before. Like for me, that was a party. I was like, God damn it! I've made it to the point in my career I'm getting things, and I know why I'm getting it. If the organization tells me, Leon, we need you to do this and this for marketing, I take that very seriously. The people who follow my social media, they know that I deliver. It's like I'm not like trying to like make myself sound like Instagram Jesus or anything, but I take it seriously. If I sign a contract about like certain amount of posts and the content of that has to be a certain way and all that, I of course make sure that it has to be authentic, it has to be honest, it has to be Leon. If it's none of those things and they can't accept that, I will not make the deal. I pay for my flights myself. I pay for my whatever supplements or shoes. I will rather pay for it myself.
Yeah,
that's okay. I put in the work. Like I can pay for my own shoelaces. I'm fine. I mean, I'm not fine. I'm not doing great, but you know, I can pay for shoelaces. It's like I take that seriously, and I know it's not a thing. It's not like they just want influencers. It's not that they want athletes who take shit seriously. And I know it's really, really, really difficult when you used to have contracts that you would get like X amount of thousands of dollars for like compensation for traveling and stipends and show up fees, and all you had to do was like blow a fart in social media, and then Spartan would do the rest. If I had that deal and I went to like a non-paid and the races don't really pay, and if I show up and they pay, I don't know when I'm getting the money, I'd be really angry as well.
Yeah.
In Europe, we haven't had that. Like it's very few people that have had deals with the organizers. The deals have come from other brands. It could be brands that are also partner with the organizers, but otherwise most athletes are used to just working. Some are part-time, some are coaches, and you show up and you win. Like I remember seeing like the French series of Spartan is so goddamn competitive. I can't even describe the Swiss as well. It's ridiculously difficult to podium, and you get like what, maybe $500 if you're lucky when you win. Like it's nothing. It's like, sure, buy yourself a new jacket, like, but it's like you're not gonna pay rent with any of these money. And I think athletes are quite used to having the opportunities of that in North America, and that has had like a change. Right. So I think that's like basically the money thing, and it's not like the athletes don't mean it in bad intentions. They've just been presented with something, and then that has been removed. So they don't feel like, they just feel like it's been decreased value for them. And then I get it. It's really hard to stay motivated when your motivation actually was maybe like, oh, I could be an athlete. I can have a career. And it's like, well, maybe you can't anyway, because Spartan took that away from you. Whereas me, what I'm in, the position I am in, I have created that very much on my own. Like there's very few organizers that reach out to give me an annual stipend. The sponsors I have honed and worked with closely for years, and it's taken a long time. So I have created this, and it's independent of it. Like if OCR got deleted tomorrow, my sponsors would most likely stay.
Yeah.
Because of like the partnership that we have, it extends it extends above and around my performance as an athlete. Yeah, I'm not saying that model is amazing or anything. It's just for inspiration and understanding that it's for me it's to a certain extent an entrepreneurship, like a business thing. I had entrepreneurship classes as well at business school and my master, and I was like, oh, if I'm going to be an athlete, I should probably treat it a bit more like a business than just Leon's vacation to Croatia where I got my ass kicked at a random Spartan race. Like it has to be a bit more than that, So, and I'm okay with that. Second part is coverage. We haven't had a lot of race coverage over here. The race coverage we have had for actually Trifecta Champs this weekend. I was sorry there wasn't great coverage because they used to have that. I know Anthony Dubois of the Spartan France team. He had me and Fran in. Last year he had Angelique and Anouk in to the studio in France. Coverage was amazing, right? They had drones. Great. That was out this year. That was a shame. The coverage of Croatia, I think, was prioritized instead. That was great. But it's been like, a few events of the year that had great coverage. Toughest used to have it. And Toughest is the OCR European equivalent of what's happening to OCR in America. They have basically no elite field anymore. There's no prize money. There used to be prize money. They don't even have a podium. Like, you don't have the little steps.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I won the championship stuff, and I just got like a, gas station flowers and a merchandise T-shirt from the event. It was like that used to be like, what was that, 7, 8, 9 grand, and big flowers, like fireworks kind of situation. So Toughest is like a bit of the equivalent. Like Toughest is a little idolized because it's great. The events are still great. It's just the elite field of it has died.
Interesting.
And it's died because it was dependent on the organization, and the organization, they had new ownership, and they were like, this Toughest elite thing, sure, we'll keep it, but no money in it, no coverage, no anything. And so the athletes who were into that were in it for that reason, right, to a certain extent. So I think it's like we can put it down to like, where is the like excitement coming from? And if you're relying on the organization to like, pay your rent and motivate you to race, and that's not what the organization wants. The organization wants to sell 7,500 tickets, right, to a bunch of people that might do 3 Spartans in their life. No, they don't want to necessarily give you the tickets because the athletes have shown that they generally don't deliver what the organization needs to sell more tickets, and coverage is just so expensive. So I'd like to see more coverage, and I think what Jason and the team are doing is great. Yeah. I don't know if do you think it's like similar things for like the Europe and North America, or I know this was only like 2 points, but
yeah, no, I would say those are the main things. Also, when it comes to North America, Spartan is king, and Spartan, this Savage, I love Savage too on the East Coast, but as a whole, North America is Spartan. The local scene here has pretty much died. I live in New England, which was like the birthplace of OCR in the country, with like Killington and this and that. We had it all going on. It's not great now. It seems like in Europe, you guys have a lot more smaller scale OCR, which I love. And I feel like having a bunch of those is also great, because I was talking to, I think it might have been Stein, who was talking about how you go to this country and you have like this style of OCR. You go to this country, you have this style of OCR. We don't really have that variety here as much. I love what smaller scale OCRs we still have here, but I feel like we don't have that. And so when Spartan makes unfortunate Spartan decisions, sometimes it affects the whole country. Whereas if
the whole sport and the whole sport.
Whereas in Europe, you guys have, it feels like you guys have more pillars holding up the sport, where we kind of just have Spartan mainly, and when that goes down, it feels like everything else goes down a little bit with it.
Dude, this is such a great point. We've never had a Spartan race in Scandinavia.
Really?
Oh wait, they had the 24-hour thing in Sweden, but right, I mean, they're coming to Finland for the first time ever, which is not Scandinavia, that's the Nordics, and it's like way out. They speak really funny in Finland, so I think a lot of people are going to go for the Spartan Euro champs there because it's the European champs next year. But we haven't had Spartan, so we haven't had like one organizer that dominated.
Right.
The Danish field. We have Nordic Race, which have the most people, and they have a good elite field. But like, generally Danish OCR is really cool. Sweden has like all these little organizers, and yeah, Stein is totally right. You go to Portugal, you get a certain type of racing. You go to Spain, if you can't do a lock off in Spain, you're not finishing that race. Like it's like a very specific type of strength you need for like the rigs there. But normally the carries are like mega weak. You get like a dried out 17-pound log you have to run. And you're like, why am I even carrying like this thing? Like it doesn't matter. So it's very correct. And I mean, if you're in America and you're like, I'm gonna take like half a year of work and I love OCR, like, yeah, you should just race wild in Europe. Like it's good fun. If you can join my camp in Spain as well. I have Americans normally coming for our training camp in Spain. It actually starts in a week. Our third one with Ida, but I think it's my 15th training camp to Spain. And it's always international. It's good fun because people are like, oh, I normally race things with like it's really heavy, heavy Atlas stones, like, like 170-pound stuff. You gotta like throw those things around or like sandbags, and you gotta flip things and like kind of like hybrid almost, right?
Yeah.
And for some, they just like they show up with like basically no ass because they don't have to have strong glutes, but their forearms are like just like
legs
so massive. It's kind of wild. It's so cool to see, but you can almost like just like people who do enough OCRs, you can almost tell where they're from based on like just how they work out and what they're good at. Like all the Polish athletes are just like so ridiculously strong in rigs because it's rig heavy, dude. Like it's hardcore to finish a race. And men and women do the same stuff. They don't have a lot of women coming through those races at all. And the Polish are just like, yo, get stronger. Okay, come on, do it. That was a Russian accent, but it's close enough. It's Baltic. It counts.
That's fine. Something else that I feel like has to be brought up too, and this is where I'm going to pat you on the back here, is that you've kind of just built your own brand over time too. And it can't be overestimated how like well liked you are in the sport too. I remember talking. Same with Ida too. Like she comes over and she's like, "Oh, thank you so much for like welcoming us over here." And I'm like, "Of course we are." So like, is there anybody that doesn't like you? How important is it to be liked by you? Like, are you a people pleaser? Like, what does it bother you if there's anyone that doesn't like you? Or
No, I think that's okay. I think we all have like different things we aspire to and are inspired by. And I'm okay if people think the way I live is retarded or like stupid or not inspirational. And if there's anything I want people to be inspired by, it's not necessarily my athletic endeavors. It's my 5% for charity rule. I think it's not something I talk about a lot, but 5% of everything I make is it goes for charity. Like that's a tax on me that I'm okay with giving. And I mean, I also read it in like this like personal finance book. I'm a bit of a personal finance nerd. I think that's why things are adding up as well in my life to a certain extent. That one of the three best ways to get like actual measurable joy out of money is giving. One of the three best ways. Like it's like time is one of them, and giving is the other. And I can't actually remember the third. I'll have to look that up. But like buying time, like, making your life easier. You don't have to spend like 2 hours a week cleaning your massive house because you spent money on a cleaner. Maybe buy a smaller house, but you could also spend money on a cleaner. Or you don't like time is great to have like some tasks and food and whatever. If you're not inspired by cooking, okay, I get my food delivered, or like money, you can track that as an actual joy. Like it gives you time, especially if you have too much time. Getting more time is not necessarily going to make you happy. It's going to make you stressed because you're like, with all this time, like, do something amazing, dude. Like, just go do something amazing, volunteer, or like meet people, go on a work away or something if you had all that time. And yeah, giving. It's like if you're going to be inspired by anything, and I think the world would be. I think the world would be better if we all like did more sports, and OCR is a great sport to do, and you guys should all do OCR and blah blah blah. But like, it would be a better place if we all like gave. And I think a lot of listeners here, I know you guys, you're very, very, very nice people. I think it's almost impossible to be like addicted to your podcast and not also be like, to a certain extent, a nice person. I think most people are quite nice people, deep down. So like that brings me actual joy, and that's. Like I'm a national cancer awareness ambassador. I travel around and like host speeches and connect with people and cry with people because like fucking can't control my tears when when it gets like real, and that's good. I'm proud about that. It's something that bothered me for a bit, but it's actually not bad. It's healthy.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to be inspired by anything, please be inspired by that. But yeah, of course, there's haters. There's people who are like, I have to go to work. I have to go to work like all these times, and then you can do sports at Strava on like 10:47 a.m. and you can like sleep in and go home and wank and nap or whatever. And I'm like, dude, that's not necessarily what I do, but sometimes. No, it's like I work really, really hard to make this happen. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have like a 9 to 5, but I tell you, I spend more than enough time. I probably spend more time than that person, and they have a paycheck.
Yeah.
Money comes every month. They have insurance. They have job security. They're learning stuff. Like, I'm jealous of that shit as well. So how about I'm grateful that you're doing probably something you're passionate about, and you could be that I'm doing something I'm passionate about. So sure, like I think like we can meet that occasionally, like anybody can, Ida and I as well. But that's not too big of it. I'd love to like if people come up to me and like want to have a conversation, I'd much rather have a conversation about like what is it that actually annoys them. Like it's probably not me.
Yeah.
Like if my Instagram stories annoy people, you're so welcome to not follow me. Like that's
right.
It's not mandatory. Like, yeah, I got followers, but you could opt out any day, bro. That's okay. Like you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I have close friends from university that don't follow me on Instagram and don't give me likes, don't give me like motivational comments, like, boost my content. I am not angry at a single of those people. They just don't need that in their life. They like to have me in their life. We meet for like things and hang out with their kids, and like we love hanging out. They just don't need to like be at work and see me in like Australia or Colorado or Dubai or and like totally get it. Like that's fine. Like it's no hard feelings.
I like the focus on giving back too, because I mean my full-time job is I'm a behavioral therapist. I work with autistic kids. Caitlin works with special needs kids in school. So giving back is like a huge element of what we do personally too. And you talked about like you work with fundraising for cancer. You mentioned your mom, which I'm glad you brought up too. And then more recently, you had pre-cancerous skin removed from your back too. Like talk about the importance of awareness.
You read that post. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I follow you.
Yeah, it's I think I've only posted about that like once, maybe twice. I gotten some comments on my back because I had some ugly scarring, and sure, that scarring could have been way prettier if I had followed the doctor's instructions. But it wasn't until after the surgery they told me you can't really exercise for 3 weeks, and I was going to Italy the next day.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm going to be in the Dolomites, baby. I'm running. Okay. Like it's happening. So yeah, I didn't necessarily follow the surgeon's instructions on, how to get like a beautiful back, but I'm like, I can't see it. Also, my back is gorgeous. Like I could do lots of pull-ups. I think like I have a great looking back. Like, sure, it's not going to look as good, but I'm also 33. It's okay. I'm fine. Like, it's okay. Like, so yeah, I had some, a really good friend of mine is an incredible doctor, like youngest ever educated doctor in Denmark, absolute like phenomenon of like brain capacity and nicest guy ever, really, really, really close friend of mine. And so he had seen my back and like he was in South Africa as well, and he was like, dude, those are not looking great. And South Africa in January has like a massive UV, like sometimes just like at the top of the scale where it's just like above like high, like so SPF, like whatever high you can find, you just roll that on your body. But I'm out running on the mountains in South Africa and in Cape Town. You sweat. Of course, some of the lotion is like gonna run off. So they didn't get better that year. They started looking a little bad in the summer, and then around October, I had them removed last year. It wasn't a big of a deal. Like none of them were cancerous, and I didn't have like a lot of negative thoughts about it. But it was an important thing for me to do because statistically men are not very good at going to the doctor and getting things checked out. That's how a lot of men die from prostate cancer because, you don't want fingers in your butt and stuff like that. That's totally fair. You really do go get it checked.
Yeah, exactly. It's worth going to a doctor. And we talked about that in quick news too, of like, hey, just another reminder, go to a doctor. My grandmother just had some sort of like skin cancer removed from her nose, and that was like a good reminder to me. I'm making a dermatology appointment. Like, so I was glad that you put that out there for awareness.
Yeah, I think that's like the strongest message. Like
Yeah.
I thought when I got into like, wanting to do more cancer awareness that I was like, oh, raise money and then science will science it and we will all be healed and nobody should lose kids to cancer.
Yeah.
Or like young parents. I'm like, oh Jesus, can we please stop having this happen? Like that would can we maybe like start eating real foods and like not like, die from cancer and that would be amazing. And I was like, so if you just give all the money to people who are really smart, they'll figure it out. And that's just not how it works. It's like at a pharmaceutical level, it's not how it works. Like just because you study a lot doesn't mean you find a solution. There's unsolved problems in any science around there about the universe, about mathematics, physics, biology, chemistry, and also in pharma and medical sciences. There's unsolved mysteries. One of them is our illustrious goddamn cancer. Like, how do we do these things? It's not easy. My phenomenon doctor, his second farm, he's my age. He has 2 pharma businesses. The second one actually researchers and like, of course, that's in that world as well. So that means a lot to me. So the best thing we can do is like, keep doing smart things and motivate each other to get checked early on. And if we have stuff. So that's like my little reminder. And it's actually like, since it's on my body and I'm often in warm places and I run, so I don't wear a shirt. Also, I'm European. So I'm kind of chill about like bodies. Do we sauna in Colorado? And there's probably a lot of American listeners that would be like, dude, why is this not normal? People were wearing sweatshirts and like long pants in the sauna. I would just want to tell you guys why that is weird for me. I live next to Germany. You're naked in a sauna there.
Yeah.
And the changing room had like little lockers so you could go and change so you're not like showing your dick to a strange man. Like I'm like, guys, chill. It's just a body. Like, so I was there with Signy and we were like, what's up with all these people being so terrified? But apparently that's like a huge cultural thing here. It's just like, I just came from Finland. That's sauna country. Like Finnish people barely laugh or like they're not like that. They're sociable, but in their own way, kind of like Danish people. And German people are very like correct, and they still have like this like stigma about Germans is so correct, and I love it. Like it just they're just like, yes, that is me. This is what we do in Germany.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I love it. But as soon as they go sauna, they're like, naked and hanging out and just like so chill. I'm like, where did all the Germans go? Like, what happened here?
Yeah, that is weird. I mean, I'll wear like a bathing suit in a sauna is what I would wear. But yeah, some people are really, really weird about it. And I'm not like going out of my way to look, but it is kind of weird if someone walks around completely naked here. It's something we have to get
yeah, it's like, but you don't. It's also if you're unaccustomed to that, it's just like, why is this genitals all over the place?
Right.
It's normal to wear a swimsuit in Denmark as well, unless you're in a sauna that specifically says we accept and like no bathing suits. So, but they will state it. In Germany, it's more like if there's a sauna, people, it's like you can do whatever you want to do, basically, right? I go to this sauna place in call it sauna, sorry, in Berlin once or twice a year, which is incredible. Like they have 17 saunas. We go there for like 12-ish hours, and then we sauna multiple times throughout the day. They have hot, cold swimming pools, restaurants, sleeping areas, reading areas, indoor fires. It's the most zen place in the world, very Bali style. And you're naked all day. You have like a robe, so when you walk around, you just like kind of weird to walk. It's more like it feels weird, but you have this robe which is so comfortable. But it's a different world. It's a different world, and I get like a lot of people be like, "Oh, dude, that's really weird." But it's what are you used to? I grew up playing soccer. We were like a lot of dudes, and that wasn't that weird. Like teenage years, sure, but we actually talked about. We had a meeting in the soccer team, and it was like, you guys like are at a certain age where some are going to be like a little confused about these things. These are the rules of the soccer team, and this is why it's not weird to shower once you've played soccer. This is why it's healthy, normal, and okay. Like, so I remember having like we had those talks, and I can imagine a lot of people never had that like conversation at like teenage years.
I think it's because in the United States everything is so hypersexualized that like any private part of the body, like it's like it's a super sexual, where it's like as you said, it's normal. Like there's nothing I have that you don't have, kind of thing. Like it's body's a body. It is kind of weird, and so sometimes that's something I might have to get used to too. But you're right. It's not really.
It's. I was kidding around with the guy in Dubai. I was like, dude, because he was like, I've never seen another naked man. I was like, come to Germany, you're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, bro, I don't want to do it. But yeah, we don't hypersexualize bodies in the same way. It's like it's just a bloody body. Like if there's one thing like we all have is a body, right? So and also like I hate that there are countries where specifically women feel unsafe to go for a run or a walk because they have a vagina or boobs. And I'm like, that should not that frustrates me. Like seriously, there's like we've created like, and I say we because it's a collective thing. It's not like somebody listening like specifically that we've created like this sexually predatorial environment, and it's like we hear it within sports. Like it's like this happened there and that happened there, and it's like it just hurts. It just hurts.
It's like, well, she shouldn't be running at that time, or she shouldn't be wearing that. And it's always blaming the person, and it's not a good time in the United States right now too. That's so there's that, but yeah, all over the world that there's different areas where not great with that, which is
not great,
stupid. But
it's also funny, like a Halloween party in Copenhagen. People like, sure, you're allowed to be like skimpy cow instead of like whatever cow. You can do whatever you want to do for your Halloween. Yeah. But when I lived in New Orleans for half a year, and those are kings of Halloweens in the South. Like the Mardi Gras area, and like a really party, and it comes then it like on a night like that, it turns from, oh, you can't show, you have to like, wear things a certain way. And then just one night, people are like, now we're going to get drunk and be basically naked. And I'm like, why does it have to be so radically different? This is like so wild. Like nobody can control that. You go from like, oh my God, everything. And then all of a sudden they're just like wearing a little leaf on nipples, like glued on. And I'm like, guys, this is like no, none of you guys can control it because it's like wild. It's wild.
Starting to come to a close. Okay. Have a bit of a time limit, but you were very vocal, and I don't know if this has changed, but you were talking about how 2024 would be the last year as a solely professional athlete. What does the future look like you? I know that's kind of big question to end on, but
big question that I don't have an answer ready for yet. But I definitely am looking into being less focused on just my athletic capacity and development next year. I still want to do workouts. I still want to do obstacle racing, but I'd love to learn more things. I'd love to get back into not necessarily the workforce with a full-time gig. I don't think that lifestyle, I'm necessarily ready for that change. I already have signed with some sponsors for next year, which is incredible and amazing. And it enables me to continue doing the things that I really love doing, that are not just being an athlete, but also in the communities and social media and participation in events and hosting boot camps and educational courses and all those things. I mean, I'm launching my Get a Grip program in its 7th language next week, in Arabic actually, because in UAE the OCR communities are really growing. I think that's kind of cool, and I want to be very inclusive. And I understand there's some language barriers there, and I don't know anything about Arabic, so I've spent a lot of time on getting this sorted, and it's finally done. Only the 8-week program, not the 4-week one, which is going to be great leading into Gov Games. I'm of course doing Gov Games again in February. I want to run the World Champs in Sweden, not because I had a great time in Costa Rica, but I know the organizers in Sweden are going to be great. I'm not saying that it wasn't great in Costa Rica because I don't want to be friends with the federation. I just want to emphasize this. I don't want to be like, oh, because then if that's how I felt, I could sign up and be part of the federation and make changes on the inside. I'm saying they had said there would be 50 obstacles, there were 25, all right? They had said it would be a certain way, and it wasn't. There was only one type of this and one type of that. And, you spend a lot of money on going somewhere, and then the advertised product is not there. I think as a consumer of that product, and I did not get anything paid for doing that race. So as a consumer of the product, I think it's okay to say I did not get what I paid for.
we want it to be better. There's nothing wrong with that. We want it to be better.
I want it to be better. And honestly, like Sweden's going to be great. So I have races I want to do. But yeah, if I have a couple opportunities open right now and a little bit of networking with I'm lucky to know some great people within businesses that really am inspired by, that I think do great. And I'm gonna have some coffee meetings and talks, and when the right opportunity presents itself, or I pursue the right conversation with the right person, or however you want to phrase it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to go towards those things. And will that mean I maybe have less time to go on runs and lift weights and travel? And I'm sure it will, but I think that's great. I know that the biggest reason for athletes to have depression is actually when they decide to stop and they don't know what to do. And now all meaning in life has disappeared because all you could do is sports, and all you want to do is sports. And now you're injured, or your sport is gone, and it's really depressive. I am beyond thrilled about what 2025 will bring. I think it will be full of amazing opportunities. And yeah, I'm not gonna do it big trips in the same way. And I think I'm very okay with that. I still want to come over and race a Savage. I still want to explore opportunities. I'm excited about 2026. OCRWC is coming to the East Coast.
Yep.
And yeah, of course I'm not flying over to race if I have a massive injury, but I'm not too proud to come up and get my ass whooped. I'm okay with that. That's what happened the first 6 years of racing. I was I showed up and I got my ass whooped. I've tried that before and it's not oh my God, I am a bad human being, I lost today. No, 4,500 people lost, only one person won in each category. I'm come on, guys. Let's we're still gonna have fun. So I still want to do those things. And for me, I think the communities are something I want to be involved in still. And I will put on more workshops, I hope. And the magic is not doing too much, because I honestly feel I have the opportunity to open a lot of doors. And my main issue, and that's what I learned most as an athlete, is to open just a couple or one, and then peek through and be all right, what's this? And maybe stay in the room for a little bit, and then we can always go out and look into another door.
It's all about balance, as you talked about before, weighing the pros and cons of do I want to hang out with friends or do I want to go and race? And to a different extent, I'm not an elite athlete, but this media thing, a lot of my friends are having kids and I'm going to cover these events and doing this and that. Years go by quicker and quicker as we get older, trying to find that balance. But it's also scary, as you said, trying to not lose that sense of identity. I am an athlete, I am a media person, but I'm also this, and kind of just restructuring the balance and everything. It's scary, but it's change, and change can be good too. So I'm glad that you're optimistic about that. It's good to be, because we all have to go through changes. So yeah.
I like that you say change. One of the things I could see myself working in is some element of change management. I had a couple of change management courses on business school, and I could see myself in some kind of transitional change phase in businesses, more freelance. But that's my primary thing. Is I don't want to work full time next year. It's not that I want to be a lazy bum or anything. It's just I know that I'm going to be doing work in my own business and my own dreams and passions. So if I commit to 40 hours a week somewhere, there's a high risk I will get stressed. And I'm very competitive. I can't go to a full-time gig without wanting to be really good at it. And I've learned enough about myself about those things. So yeah, I agree. Change is definitely terrifying, but what opportunities it presents to us. It's actually quite magnificent.
Yeah. And it's starting to come to a close now. If there's anyone on the planet that's not already following you, where can they follow you on social media?
Most people should check out the Instagram, but I do keep my website, leonkofoed.com, updated with blogs. And I also have written a series this fall before OCRWC about Get a Grip training. It's a 5-part series about how to train and structure your training, how to do injury prevention for grip training. So I know it's very niche, but within obstacle racing or climbing, strongman work, there could be some tips and tricks to be found, especially if you're new to this style of training. I run a lot. I most people don't necessarily, they think I just swing around in rigs and stuff, but I've done 56 miles this week, and I'm only just starting to get back into training. I run. It's not that I don't run.
Yeah.
But I'm most famous for grip and obstacle training. And so I have put stuff out about that. But people are always welcome to slide into the DMs on Instagram or join a training camp or reach out.
Yeah. And then any sponsors or people that you'd like to thank? I know it's coming to the end of the year and there's transition with that, but.
Yeah, I couldn't have made this gamble without my sponsors. They had a lot of faith in not necessarily oh, Leon, I had no bonuses. Like a lot of athletes, they have a bonus if they win something. Like, oh, you'll get like extra money. I had none of that put in. I asked for it because I was like, I wanted the pressure. I was
Yeah.
like, give me the pressure so I can like, I perform well under pressure. Give me a deadline. Give me like, take some of my money and be like, you have to do well in this thing. I'll be like, I will train for it and get like, didn't want to do any of that. They were like, we're not sponsoring you because like, yes, it's great you do well in sports. It puts a lot of eyes on you and all that jazz. But like people follow you and engage with your stuff because you are you. So we're gonna like do that. And a mega shout out to Shaping You Tomorrow, which is a Danish menswear clothing brand. They have a new women's collection as well, which is dope. And what they basically did is like they made 4-way stretch in like comfortable sportswear style stuff into really nice menswear that actually fits well and is comfortable to wear. And I've done stunts with them with like ran OCR events in suits and climbed ropes. So massive shout out to them, to Body Lab, and to Garmin as well. Like without those three, like I couldn't have been living as I am now. And it's a great relation. It feels like a very personal relation. And there's of course also minor sponsors, not minor, but like non-financial sponsors, like my sports therapist in Copenhagen, Fix Your Sports Clinic, and so like people who support and yeah, shout out to everybody who had faith in my training programs. I think we're almost at 500 of the Get a Grip programs have been sold since I launched like 3.5 years ago. So, and I meet people at every single event I go to. There's without doubt, I go to the event, somebody will tap my shoulder and be like, I did better because I followed your training program. And I'm like, God damn it, it worked. Like, you know, you write stuff you like you don't know, but you're like, I'm pretty sure this is great. But it's not like a peer-reviewed paper or anything like that, so you're not sure.
Yep.
But the compliments have been insane. So for the people on the Get a Grip programs, I just want to say thank you. It's been amazing. And for you for having me, I really appreciate that, buddy.
Awesome. I appreciate you making the time, and yeah, keep in touch, bud.
Absolutely. See you around. Ciao.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Leon, for taking the time for the interview, just for being such a great member of the community, and for being the first to give us an engagement gift at OCRWC. I'm counting that.
Okay.
He gave us those Mud Gear socks.
That he got for free.
Yeah, no, still. Hey, it's a thought that counts.
Okay, you're right. It is the thought that counts.
Yeah, that's usually something that you say, but yeah, and for dealing with me for being sick. I don't know if I showed the excitement, but I was very excited to talk to him because he's just such a great dude. If you haven't had the chance to talk to him, he checks his DMs and he's a cool guy.
He does, and he likes to send voice memos.
Yes, and he looks like a Calvin Klein model, and that's pretty cool too.
He is good looking. Can I say that?
Yeah.
To my husband?
I just said that to my wife. Right, let's get to some related episodes. Episode 247 was OCR World Championship 3K with Elites. That was the first time we had Leon on the show. Following that was episode 249, OCR World Championships team races and 100-meter finals with Elites. We had him on for the second time for that episode. Episode 270 was when we had his countrywoman, Ida Matilde Rubensteinsgaard on Jacksonville Spartans, Savage, Florida, and more. Episode 299 was OCR World Championships 3K with Elites and Graham Roberts from Knox. First two were from 2021, the last one was from 2022. Episode 316 was fellow Dane Ulrike Evanson on Spartan World Championships, World's Toughest Mudder, and more. And episode 363 was Spartan World Championships with Nikolai Dam, also from Denmark. And much more recently, in talking about OCRWC, I had my coach Joshua Reed on episode 406, which was Joshua Reed on Athletic Risk, OCRWC, FKTs, and more. So links down below if you'd like to check those out.
Subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts. We are Obstacle Running Adventures, but you already know that if you're listening. Leave us a review on that Purple Podcast app. We have not had a review since that person left us a 1-star review.
Oh, yeah.
Because you used the Lord's name in blasphemy.
Yeah, it happens. More than anything, though, if you could share the show with a friend, if each member of the community that listens shares it with one other person, our downloads would double. That would be terrific.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate that.
Coming up next,
Yes.
Mike.
So I have a planned episode with a woman who ran every street in Boston. So my plan is to do that within the next 3 days or so and get that out before, like, while I'm in Florida for World's Toughest Mudder. Either that or do an early, or like a late episode of World's Toughest Mudder stuff. World's Toughest Mudder content is going to be like 3 weeks. It's just a matter if it starts next week or after next week. So I'm trying to figure that out because it's a lot to do all of that and to have the quick turnaround that I like to. So I was going to give myself some grace, but it all depends if I can schedule that interview in. So we will see. But I'll see many of you in Florida for World's Toughest Mudder. Please say hi. Caitlin, do you have a joke or a quote?
I do. My quote is, there will be times in your life where everything aligns to what you truly desire and success shines through, but it's going to be challenging before you get there. You're going to want to give up a million times. I hope you never stop trying just because it gets hard. Embrace the hard, and soon enough, success will come for you, and you will be so happy that you didn't give up. And then I know Halloween's over, but I have 2 Halloween jokes.
Okay.
How do ghosts like their coffee?
Spooky.
With scream and sugar.
Oh, there it is.
And then it's, why are graveyards so noisy?
Why?
Because of all the coffins.
Oh, okay.
All the coffin.
Got it. All right, well, that just about wraps it up. My name is Michael Stefano.
And my name is Caitlin Ritter.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye!
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to our show and write us a review on your favorite podcast app.
You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook and connect with us there.
Most importantly, we would appreciate it if you shared an episode with a friend so we can reach more ears
Then continue to effectively shine a light on the people in our sport, as well as the events that we are so passionate about.
Our intro song is Streaker by Straight Up, and our outro music is Iron Call by The Best.
We got a little delayed and traffic was a bitch. I'm sorry.
Not a
My
problem.
bad.
Not a problem.
I owe you not burpees, but like pull-ups or something cooler.
I'm not drinking that Spartan Kool-Aid anymore, so no burpees here.
Yeah.
All right, we can end it there. Thank you so much. I forgot to say that obviously not my typical office. I'm in Caitlin's parents' basement right now.